Divas, it's Wanda from Wanda's Workbasket. I wanted to continue today on talking about My Friend Fear by Miralee Patel. To continue our reading, I believe we are on page, oh no, further than this. I think we're on page 76, 77, probably 77, okay. And while we're talking about that, what I'd like to do is this kit. That's a Dreamcatcher kit. I will put down below where I got it from. I think I got it from You Are Best Deals, something like that. This is a rainbow Dreamcatcher. It has a giant jewel, teardrop jewel on the bottom, and a rainbow of other beads put together for underneath it. And it has three, a white, a blue, and a gold drills for the actual Dreamcatcher. So it shouldn't take very long at all to do. I'm going to use my wax pencil. To create the kit. And since it doesn't come with baggies of its own, I'm going to use baggies to put the extras in here, okay? Self-explanatory, really? Okay, so let's begin. So we'll start on page 77. Mira writes, "The reason it's so hard to see fear as a friend is that we let it remind us of what we don't want instead of what we do. I wanted to fit in, I wanted to be loved, I wanted to be appreciated, accepted. I was afraid of never having those things. But I wasn't giving myself a chance to find them, to find the positives, a friend. I wanted to be on a path, but I was afraid of walking. I had to take the first step, and I had to take it with fear by my side instead of in front of me blocking my path. The reason it is so hard to see fear as a friend is that we let it remind us of what we don't want instead of what we do." There is this thing, you know, a lot of us, where's the scissors here? There's this thing that we do, what a lot of us do, that is always look at the negative stuff. And, you know, one of the things that what we do is look at the negatives and see how we can overcome them, right? If you have a problem, you think about the problem until you can find a solution, right? Well, that keeps us thinking about negative things. There is this system called appreciative inquiry, in where instead of thinking about problems and their solutions, you think about what you do want to create instead. So at that point, you're not thinking about problems, but you're thinking about what you want to create. It comes up with creative solutions to your problems. And that is often more productive than thinking about the negative side of things, I think, anyway. Okay, these are number 3s, so they go in the number 3. Here. And for churches, what we would do is we would think about all the positives from our past. Okay, what things did our ancestors leave us that were positives from our past? And you can think about this for you too. What are the things that you love doing all through your life? What are the things that you're good at? What are your strengths? And then you think about where you're passionate. For the church, it would be like a guiding scripture or whatever, and then what type of people we feel we are called to serve. And where you have a passion to serve, where that intersects with your skills, is how you can help meet the needs of the world, how you can be of service and be of ministry to others. So that's a place to start. Then you take the values from the past and make sure that you are still, the threes are done already, that you are working with your strengths of the group as a whole, which is often at this point more important than just individual rights, at least in this process. So then you think about what it is, where you want to go. You make plans, like goals, I should say. You make goals, like vision. What would you like to see happen? You know your strengths, you know the gifts from the history, you know where your passion is. What would you like to see happen? What outcome would you like to dream about? And then at that point, you would write just adjectives, write words down that would, just descriptive words, like beautiful, like peaceful, like full, like instead of hungry, that kind of thing. You would write all kinds of adjectives down that just come to your mind. All kinds of adjectives. Just write them down willy-nilly. Don't analyze them. Just write them all down. You would write descriptive words about the dream that you might have. And then instead of expressing it in words more, you make a drawing. You make a drawing, it could be stick figures, it doesn't have to win any artistic awards. You just draw out on a large piece of paper, what might that dream look like? You know, it could be a dream, it could be a logo or a symbol, it could be, you know, like when we did it once as a church, we had somebody send us a picture of our church in the rain with a rainbow landing right on top of it. And it was just so poignant. It was just so impactful that was then our our logo for our dream campaign, where a rainbow landed right on top of our church. And instead of it just landing there, it opened the roof of the church and butterflies were pouring out. So that was kind of fun. And so with all those possibilities together, we thought we wanted to be known as a praying congregation. So we would, well, what kind of prayer? Well, we just wanted to be praying congregation, and everybody would say, well, I like to walk and pray, or I like to read prayers, or I want to put up a prayer box so that we can collect prayers from the AA that meets here, or the neighborhood, and put them in our Sunday prayers and that kind of thing. So we each had different ideas that would get us closer to being a praying church and making that a priority for us. And we found that as we moved along in those goals, we would then come up with all those different ideas and write them down and plan out how we would do them, when we would do them. Like, we wouldn't do a prayer walk in the middle of winter, at least not right away, or who would build the prayer box, or who would read off the names or the requests in the morning, and that kind of thing. So as we made plans and build out the months ahead as to how we were going to put this into action, we started noticing that we were all getting happier. We were noticing when prayers would get answered. We would have God sightings, we would talk about God sightings in church during prayer time and say, this is how God was, God was active for me in my life this week, and this was an answer to prayer that I saw, or, I just loved seeing the deers on the road and not hitting my car into one this week, or they were legitimate goosebump miracles, answers to prayer that just, wow. So suddenly the congregation was getting happier. Suddenly the congregation was sharing their faith a little bit more in the sanctuary and outside of the church. And we started getting more people coming into the church for different, they were invited by others, or they said, wow, you're so happy today. What gives? And they talk about their answers to prayer and that kind of thing. And more people would come into the church, not a giant amount, but enough that it made a difference. We noticed that kind of thing could be done a number of years in a row. So instead of thinking about our fear that numbers were bad, that instead of looking at all the things that were bad, we started looking at all the things we thought were going right. And putting that together with where we would love to see our church go. Now, it was more than prayer was involved, and we had other goals too that different people were working on in different ways. So that's just the example that I could think of it right away. What would that look like on a personal level? We all have problems in our life, but what about, instead of letting fear block us, and instead of letting fear get in our way and say, no, I'm not going to let you do this. I'm going to paralyze you instead. Instead of letting fear do that to us. Here's the baggie. Why don't we start doing more of the appreciative inquiry stuff? Why don't we start saying, where do we want our lives to go? And just dream. Just dream big. And then when fear gets in our head, let's look at what we wrote down. Let's look at the drawings we make. Let's look at the adjectives we've written down. Let's think about living in that positive space instead. What's the next step? What's the next step in that positive journey? What are we to take then? And if we do those things instead, we're going to be happier people. We're going to do more meaningful things in the world just because we want to and we desire to, instead of being afraid of it. I was really afraid of putting stuff on YouTube at first because I'm thinking, I'm going to say too much, I'm going to stutter, I'm going to act like I don't know what I'm talking about, whatever. There were all kinds of things that go through your mind. I can't do that. I don't know how to video edit. I don't know how to make thumbnails. I don't know how to attract any interest in what I'm doing. And people said, just be yourself, just be yourself. Well, that's okay if you think of yourself as being enough. If you don't, that's a problem. So, but, thinking positively, having a dream, well, this would be a good next step to get to the next dream. If I could do it with something like this, maybe I could do it in a bigger sense. So, okay, I started with this. I started with crafting, which I knew. I've been crafting for, I'm going to be 60 soon, so it's about 60 years. That I've been crafting and doing all kinds of different things. So I thought this would be a natural. All right, so. And I find that each new challenge, that when I, master a challenge, I challenge myself to the next one. And I think about where I want to go, where I'd love to see the channel go, and how I want it to grow, and how I want to be an encouragement for you, how I want to give you tips and tricks and fun ways to do things and help you avoid some of the pitfalls that always come in doing things. And well, then I found I had so many leftover drills, especially from the special kits. What was I going to do with all these leftover drills and special rhinestones and stuff? Well, I could do a few things for myself, but there were so many left over. What was I going to do with them all? So then I thought, well, yeah. So I decided that since I have so many extra, maybe I could make crafts with them, and like my own crafts with them, and sell them at craft markets and flea markets. So I signed up for a couple craft markets to come, and they're on their way. And I'm thinking, well, maybe I need to start an Etsy shop. Okay, I'll start an Etsy shop. So one thing at a time. I mean, it's snowballing. It's been a slow route, but it's been snowballing. All of a sudden, one video catches fire, and people start noticing you're there, and hopefully that you have brought something positive into their life. Some may do, and that's okay, because not everybody's going to. To each his own. Not everybody's going to agree with you. To each his own. But I just have to be honest about who I am and be real. Be an altogether real person. I don't have to have my face on camera all the time. But I'm hoping that these readings from Miralee Patel will help us all, will encourage us all to step out. And whether we're a little afraid or not, that's okay. That just means that we're concerned about the outcome, that we want to do a good job. So it's important. It's important to me that I do a good job. But I can't let fear stop me from trying. There's so much I don't know. But if I waited till I was perfect at it, then nothing will happen. I think we can all agree with that. And I think that's part of what Mira is saying here too. All right. Let's see what she has on her next page. We're on page 78. She says, so I began walking. I walked with fear a long time. I let myself feel anxious. I let the darkness cover me. My heartbeats rapidly increased and then slowed back down. I became comfortable with the fact that there was something that I was afraid of. The more I walked with fear, the more that fear itself changed. Being brave, being courageous, is not living a life without great fear. It's seeing fear clearly and living a greater life with it beside you. It's breathing deeply and allowing your fear to breathe the same air. It's knowing that you aren't alone, even if no one is next to you. It's realizing that you have the power to choose which fears will guide you and which are better left behind. And I'm glad she says that some fears will guide us and some fears we just need to leave behind. I think some of the fears that we have are legit, as you probably know from other previous pages in reading, that there are fears that we that we have that keep us from harm. They're legitimate concerns. They are warning signs that, hey, don't go any further or you're going to get in trouble. Or you're going to get hurt. Excuse me. Okay, sorry about that. Where was I? Yeah, so some fears, like fear of heights, might keep you from getting someplace that would have you fall. You know, fear of snakes would keep you from critters that may do you harm. And some fears are just going to hold you back. And it's up to you to know the difference. So, if we make friends with our fear, we can interact with it in an intelligent way, as we would friend to friend, instead of letting it dominate us, and letting it choose our course. And some things, let's face it, we just have to do even if we are afraid. Because that's the only way we're going to stretch and learn and become comfortable. If something's worth doing, it's worth stretching into. That's what I've been finding. Mira goes on to say, although I was afraid of being rejected, I was more afraid of never letting myself be accepted. I was afraid of being unloved, but I was more afraid of never giving myself the chance to be loved. I was afraid of being an outsider, but I was more afraid of never letting someone see me. Lying in bed was safe, but it would never surprise me. I wanted to move forward, knowing that there were unimaginable wonders ahead. I wanted to be on a path, and I wanted it to lead somewhere else. I was tired of being here. So what if I was afraid? So if we remember, this is the third of Mira's question. What is fear? I think, let me look at the questions now. Let's see where we were. It's been some days since. Oh, it's to ask yourself, are you afraid? To admit to yourself that you're afraid. Then ask, why are you afraid? And this is, so what if I'm afraid? All right, I'm afraid, but so what? So what if I'm afraid? Yeah, so what? We're always going to have some fear in us. Anytime we do something new. Anytime we drive to a new place, in a new town, see new people, wear something new, try a new craft. Anytime that we feel fear like that, we have to ask ourselves those questions. And say, so what if I'm afraid? What's the worst that can happen? Right? What's the worst that can happen? And then plan for it. there used to be a saying I used to say, way back when. It was like, yeah, I hope for the best, plan for what's worst, and I usually wind up somewhere in between. Things are never as bad as you fear they will be. Most of the time, things are never as good as what you dream them to be. But you've made progress, you've gotten closer. You've learned so much. Yeah, we make mistakes, but we learn how not to do it, that's all. Don't beat yourself up. Just jump up, brush yourself off, and start all over again. Is that too many platitudes in the same Same paragraph here. Yeah. I'm almost finished with this Dreamcatcher. And I will try to put on the dangly bits while we're together here. Yeah. Did I ever tell you why I'm afraid of spiders? I bargained with God. I said, look, God, I said, I know there's a lot of things to be afraid of in life. At least a lot of things that I'm afraid of. Claustrophobia, driving through tunnels, that kind of thing. All kinds of things that I said, well, all right, they're not helping my life at all. They're hindering my life. So I have to work together with God to get rid of them, make friends with them, get comfortable with them, whatever you want to call it. And I said, God, I would work on a lot of them. But I'm not going to bother with my fear of spiders because that's not changing the quality of my life any. When my brother and I were little, we had bunk beds. And often I'd be on the top. We'd take turns, but often I'd be on the top, which is closer to the ceiling. And let's see, I was still pretty young, maybe about 7 or 8. You're just in that starting your imagination phase. And I was perhaps overtired. And I dreamt one night. I had a night terror. I sat up in the middle of the night screaming because I had a dream that this big fuzzy spider was like hanging right over my face. And I couldn't get out of the bunk bed. I was so upset. Though Mom and Dad came running over from their bedroom and woke me up and that kind of thing. But from then on, I just didn't do spiders. I do not think that is cramping my lifestyle any. So I'm not going to bother changing that. I'll work on my many other fears. But you know, people are most afraid of public speaking. It's mostly everybody's #1 fear. I used to be. I loved being in plays. I loved pretending to be somebody else. But God helped me over that one too. Let's figure out how these things go. This big giant teardrop, I imagine, goes in the middle somewhere. What else do we have here? We have, this is really strange. Huh. We have these clips. We have a chain. And we have like a rainbow effect. So I think these clips are to connect the jump rings to this. Maybe I should put this in the bottom one here. Will it fit? Will it fit? There we go. All right. That looks good. I think I should have put this one on first, shouldn't I? Because I think this one goes through this. So let's pop this in here. If you can see what I'm doing. I'm opening the big side of the clip and putting that in. And this big side of the clip is what is going to attach it to that part. Now this has the clip on it, but it's the bigger thing. So what I'm going to do is, I have another side of the Dreamcatcher to do yet. Alright, well I'll do that on my own at a later date. Alright, here we go. I'll finish it and then I'll put it in the Smashing the Specials 2021. Here we go. I'm going to put that on there and roll it to the top. So this jump ring is just got to make it up to the top there. This is crazy. Come on. Maybe I need a pliers. Here we go. Here we go. I got it. I'll put this back on the end here. Easier said than done without scratching the big gem. Okay. There, I've got that. This, I believe, gets hooked to the top. Okay, so we're going to try that again. Ouch. Okay. Try it again. I'm going to put the little piece in first. Jump ring. Twist that all the way up to the top. Probably would be easier with the pliers. Yeah, it was a truck. Apply. Here we go. Come on, come on, come on, come on, you're almost there. Nuts. Come on. Okay, it's easier if you pinch it, I think. Well, I know it works. I did it on the other ones. It's not solid in between there. It's definitely loose. You're almost there. Yes! Got it. Just gotta keep punching away at it. Alright, now I'm gonna open this clasp. Get it up in here, in the top of the Dreamcatcher. Yep, I knew that would be the problem. Jeez. I guess I'm going to do this off camera until I get it right. Okay, I'll fix this and I'll come back and show it to you. Just want to show you the finished product. Both sides are done. And it has the rainbow crystals below it. and the big gem at the bottom. And once again, I will put down in the description where I got it from, especially when I figure that out. I'm thinking this chain is really long, but it wouldn't have to be. The chain at the top probably could double. You know, it could double it over, and then it could be a short chain on top. Maybe it could even be around your car, like on the rear view mirror. Maybe it could hang off of the rear view mirror. I don't know, maybe that the prism would be distracting at the bottom, but it'd be kind of fun. So, alright, I hope you enjoy this video and pass it along to your friends. If they need a boost sometime, let me know in the comments below. What you think of the Miralee Patel book. Is it something that you will want to purchase yourself, or if you're not interested in it at all, let me know. I haven't had any comments on it, so I don't really know what you're thinking. Do I need to continue with it, or do you like it or not like it? I'd love your comment. That's the My Friend Fear book by Miralee Patel. Let me know. Okay? Have a fantastic day. Thanks. Bye.